It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us once again today. We're going to be talking Clarkdale today with Clarkdale Planning Commission Chair Ida DeBlanc. Welcome to studio.
Thank you.
And Clarkdale Senior Planner Beth Escobar.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Nice
You informed me that it's been 5 years since you've been here last time. For more information about what we're talking about today, you can go to www.clarkdale.az.gov, and a phone number for you is 639-2500, 639-2500, and we'll repeat that before and after each of the breaks as well. Now, we brought you in today, and actually it came up on February 29th. You sent me a press release about the Help Plan the Future of Clarkdale was the press release. Right, Beth?
Yes, correct.
And it was all about the Highway 89A Focus Area Master Plan. We've got sort of a board next to us with a piece of that on here as well. But we're going to talk about that, and that's what you've been talking about over the last few months now.
Actually, it's been a year and a half since we started this process.
Okay, so let's start with that. Tell me about the process.
Well, in 2013, the Clarkdale Town Council adopted the Economic Development Plan for the town of Clarkdale, and that was a public process that identified ways for the economic development growth of Clarkdale to occur. And one of the things in there, one of the strategies laid out in there was focus area plans for 4 areas of the town that have the potential to develop as economic drivers.
Okay.
And after the adoption of that plan, the Planning Commission looked at all 4 areas, and it includes the Highway 89A corridor, the Bitter Creek Industrial, which is the original smelter area,
Okay.
historic downtown Clarkdale, the Arts and Entertainment District, and then the Broadway corridor. So all 4 of those have undeveloped property that have the potential to add to the economic base for Clarkdale. The commission decided to start with the 89A corridor because we had a project come in 2 years ago, the Dollar General project, which was going in at the Lisa Lincoln roundabout, and that triggered the thought that that corridor has the potential to develop in the next couple of years. So the commission wanted to focus on that corridor first, but we had to get a process in place because we've never done this before. So the first 4 or 5 months was spent developing the process, what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it.
Having that new road through there too, the newly developed road, or
Right.
I guess redone road,
Right, with the roundabouts.
was probably quite an instigator as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having that road draws the land use because you've got the roundabouts which create the sort of commercial nodes around it, and then you have commercial that connects the roundabouts. So we started with a process where we invited the property owners and stakeholders in to tell us what they thought about the area, and that was very informative. We had 3 meetings like that.
And we're now focusing on just the 89A.
Correct.
The 89A portion of the plan. Okay.
Right. And one of the biggest stakeholders we have is Salt River Materials Group because they run their trucks down that corridor.
Sure.
And one of the major concerns they have is traffic on that corridor because they run their trucks. So having the stakeholders and the property owners sit down in the same room was very informative because we learned from them what their challenges are and also what they want to see. And one of the most obvious things that came forward was we're not going to get a whole lot of driveway cuts along the 89A corridor. It's ADOT's road, and they're going to control access. So we had to talk about how we're going to get to the commercial properties. And we've developed a concept called backage roads. So basically you get traffic off the highway into the area and allow the neighborhoods to connect through those backage roads also.
A backage road, like a frontage road, where it's a road that runs parallel with 89A?
Well, we
Is that
call
what we're
them
talking-
backage roads
Okay.
because they don't really run parallel and they're behind the commercial property.
Okay.
So they're not right adjacent to the highway.
Okay, so you'd exit where the roundabout is,
Right.
drive back on the main road a little bit, and then turn off on the backage road, which
Yes.
would get you into the commercial properties. Okay.
We talked about having shared parking areas so that we can concentrate parking through those backage road connections, and we talked about having multimodal connections, pedestrian, bicycle, and then bus routes So those were all the early conversations. We learned very quickly, because there's so many property owners in this area, that it's going to take collaboration between the property owners to get anything done, as far as infrastructure involving water and sewer, gas. We found that there's some pockets of properties that don't get wireless or internet, so we have to work on that.
How'd you get involved, Haida?
I was on the planning commission, and then I was the vice chair, and now I'm the chair.
All volunteer, right? This is volunteer?
It's all volunteer, yeah.
Okay.
When I moved to Clarkdale, I wanted to become a part of the community and started volunteering for things here and there, and I just think it's a great way to really become a part of the life of the community. And I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but another one of the things that we saw was that in some cases, these property owners and stakeholders hadn't really spoken much with one another before at all about what was their common interest.
You just kind of take for granted that land is sitting there empty, and it doesn't occur to you that someday that land, someone's going to want that piece of land, and then now we've got a plan, or we're working on a plan anyways, as to what's going to go there.
Well, you know, in corporate America, you would talk about that you're creating your vision for the future for your company. And it's giving people an opportunity, you know, the constituents or really the stakeholders, who are the people that live in the town.
The residents
It's giving
of Clarkdale.
the residents, the stakeholders, the landowners, all an opportunity to say something about the kind of life they want to have in their town. And so, you know, I just think it was really great to bring people together, give them an opportunity to talk about what might be their common shared interests, and maybe some of the things where they don't agree, you know, bringing that to light early.
What are some of those common shared interests?
Well, for the people, or one thing I see is that, and Beth talked about it, you know, the need for a backage road. You want, if you're going to have a business, or if you're going to offer your land up to, you know, a buyer or a developer, you want people to be able to get there and get out.
So access was a concern.
So access was a concern, and Beth talked about the backage roads, but one of the things that, you know, when we moved to the area 10 years ago that we found was that you would go into a store, and there's another store right next to it, and you can't get there. You have to go out on the highway and then back in.
There's always some kind of little barrier there.
Right. So, you know, will there be opportunities for the land to be developed so that someone can go from this restaurant to this store to this veterinarian?
Makes sense.
Without going back out on the highway or even to the backage road. So it just gives people an opportunity to imagine the future and then say something about what they'd like to see.
And you've had 3 public meetings so far, right? We talked about them.
Right. We have had 3 formal public meetings. One at the Planning Commission regular meeting, and then we had an open house. But we also did something which was much more productive. We did some meet and greets on a Friday and Saturday, where we went to local businesses and just set up a little display and talked to people as they came in and out. And what I learned is, if you want to know what's going on in town, you're at Olson's on the Saturday, because the whole neighborhood stops there. So that was great, because we had the opportunity to talk to people from Cottonwood, from Sedona, and get their input on why they come to Clarkdale to shop and what they'd like to see in the future. So those were a lot of fun.
Okay, we got to take our first break already. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, Clarkdale Planning Commission Chair Ida DeBlanc in studio today, along with Clarkdale Senior Planner Beth Escobar. This is Countywide. Again, a good website for you, clarkdale.az.gov. Phone number is 639-2500. Stick around, Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to Countywide. Great to have you along again. We're talking about the Highway 89 focus area master plan between Cottonwood and Clarkdale. That's the first chunk we're talking about today. And then as we go down the road, we'll be talking about the other three pieces within Clarkdale as well. But clarkdale.az.gov is the website. Phone number is 639-2500. We talked about some of the ideas that have come out of this. And now this plan is actually going to be presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that right?
That's Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission.
Next Tuesday,
the 17th.
May 17th at 4 o'clock. It is a public meeting, so anyone interested is encouraged to attend. Because it's a voting day, we'll be in the administrative conference room, which is underneath the library.
Okay, so that's important to know. That's coming up on May 17th, Tuesday, May 17th. What were some of the other concerns, just real quick? Access obviously was one, but it sounds like we've got a pretty good solution for that. What about the residents of the area? Were they receptive to having commercial property up and down 89A?
Well, one of the purposes of this project was to actually inform the residents that that property is commercial. And one of the challenges we face is our commercial is immediately next to our residential. So we had a lot of conversation about how do we minimize the impact to the existing residential and still provide the services in the area that they might want. So we did a lot of work in 2007, the Clarkdale Planning Commission, and they adopted an overlay district to provide buffering between the commercial development and the residential, and also to preserve the open space, the two existing washes we have that go through that corridor. So we did hear those concerns from existing residents who bought next to commercial property but never thought it would develop. And that was another impetus to this project, because when Dollar General went in, people were amazed that was a commercial piece of property.
Right.
So part of it is to educate the residents, and then part of the project was to get their input.
Gotcha. Okay. We had something happen. Well, before we get, we had a listener that sent in a few questions that we want to go through first of all, and I encourage that. It's one of the first time this has actually happened, but if you've got questions and you hear the promos, we run the promos for a week before we do the show. So if you hear a topic that's coming up and you've got questions, you can give us a call at 634-2286, leave us a voicemail, or give us the questions, or you can go to news@myradioplace.com and you can email questions, and we'll ask the questions. So I've got three here I want to hit real fast. Commercial property-wise, I think one of the questions was, what kind of commercial property would you like to see along the route? So what were some of the suggestions there?
It's interesting. It was very consistent. We'd like to see a grocery in Clarkdale.
Okay.
We'd like to see coffee shop kind of development, but also development that provides jobs for the residents. Medical services, we don't have any of those in Clarkdale. And not to compete with Verde Valley Medical, but doctors' offices and dentist offices. So it was amazing through all the process. These were consistent that we were hearing that the public would like to have in the area.
Neat. Okay. All right. Let's get to these questions that were sent in. First of all, has number one question, has the town of Clarkdale coordinated with the city of Cottonwood?
When we first started the process, we did invite the city of Cottonwood in as one of the stakeholders, and we will be sharing with the city of Cottonwood the adopted plan. They're always welcome to comment. They have the same challenges we do in Clarkdale. Small staff with a lot to do, but we have informal conversations between the two of us. Cottonwood's manager actually is a Clarkdale resident, so she keeps pretty good track of what's going on in her community too.
Gotcha. How or does the cell tower in Clarkdale fit into the master plan? We have a new cell tower coming in, correct?
Well, we have an existing cell tower that was completed in January. It's behind Nate's Cowboy Cafe. That property is actually outside the corridor, but one of the things we learned going through that process is businesses really need better internet and broadband wireless connections.
Sure thing, this day and age.
Right, so that was actually an enhancement for that corridor. We have a second cell tower proposed in the industrial area. So that's one of the things we'll be looking at when we do that focus area plan.
Will that eliminate the need for any more?
We hope so.
Okay, that should take care, because there are some dead zones in Clarkdale where you don't have cell phone service and internet access, correct?
Well, or you have poor connection, and Lower Clarkdale is one of them because it sits lower on the hill, and the industrial tower should serve that area.
Okay, all right. And that's still in the planning process?
It's approved. They're actually in the process now of negotiating a lease because it's on town-owned property.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the third question was, how is the plan supported by the general plan, which was ratified by residents? Does it change the general plan at all?
It does not change the general plan at all, nor does it change any of the existing zoning. So it lays on top of both of those documents, and it's supported by the general plan because the plan identified this corridor as a specific planning area. So it's actually working on top of the general plan and the economic development plan.
So working on this corridor and getting this ironed out is part of the general plan?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Something we were talking about before the show, we've got to take a break here in about a minute, but we were talking about downtown Clarkdale. You call it historic Clarkdale, and that's exactly what it is, historic Clarkdale. You can look at pictures way in the back, way back in time, and you can see that that's historic Clarkdale. You were talking about how some of the folks that live out there sort of along 89A don't really have that sense of this is my town, this is my downtown area. So there's some work in trying to get that feeling, isn't there?
Yes, and I think this project was a good step. One of the people that came to our first public hearings was a new resident. She's been here barely a year, who lives in the Black Hills area. So that was very nice to see her make that connection. And we are kind of spread out. We're almost 11 acres, square acres, and there are a lot of people who have just come recently within the last 10 years and within the last 5 years. So we need to knit those people into the community and the history.
11 square
miles, sorry.
11 square miles, okay. 11 square miles, okay. Let's take our second break. More information on what we're talking about today is at clarkdale.az.gov. Phone number for you is 639-2500. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. Go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. Now, maybe we should remind folks, is there any way to comment on this plan anymore?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Maybe we should hit that up.
You can contact me directly at 639-2500.
Okay.
You can come to the Planning Commission meeting next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, or you can look for when the Town Council meeting, we hope it will be the second Tuesday in June. We just don't have that scheduled yet. Or you can come in and talk to us. We love to have people come in and take a look at the plan and the proposal and the process.
So what is the rest of the process for this plan, Ida? I mean, where are we at with it, and what does it still have to transpire before it's stamped and done deal?
It has to go to council.
Okay. That's the last piece?
That's the last piece to get the plan adopted, but we are included in the plan is an implementation program, and staff and the Planning Commission would work on that. And one of the things we'd like to do is start recruiting people, developers, and say, our community has said they want your kind of store or your kind of service here. Can you come take a look? And that's a new thing for us. We're a very small department, and we've never really done that before, but we think
How do you do something like that?
Well, you can... We're going to rely a lot on the Verde Valley Regional Economic Organization and the Sedona Verde Valley Tourism Board to help us get people into town because we are so small.
So we need these developers to come in, these we're talking chain stores or just even local residents that want to open a business could build a business, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's ideally.
Yeah, we're looking for people who can understand the tenets we're adopting in the plan and work within them.
Okay, all right. Anything else we need to talk about?
Well, people can come to there is still an opportunity to contribute to the vision or the plan for Clarkdale, and that would be to come to the Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, May 17th. What time again?
4 o'clock.
4 p.m. And where's it going to be again?
Administrative Conference Room, which is underneath our library.
Okay, so that's coming up next Tuesday, Election Day. Okay, all righty. All right. Thank you. Clarkdale Planning Commission Chair Ida DeBlanc. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Nice to see you. You're welcome.
I appreciate your time. Clarkdale Senior Planner Beth Escobar. Great to see you again.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
Clarkdale.az.gov is the website again. 639-2500. Where again on the website can we find it?
Well, you can find it under the Community Development Department.
Community Development Department. That's where you're going to find all this information. All right, that's today's Countywide. Thanks again for coming in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.